Welcome back. As always, if this is the first time of you joining us, please go and review our previous recordings so you get a better understanding of the build-up that we have established so far. Basically, we're up to at this point where we see that HaKadosh Baruch Hu started with Klal Yisrael with a certain amount of rules and a certain amount of limit settings, a limited capacity in Morah, where HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us some mitzvahs just to train us as children, as toddlers, to start understanding the idea that just being free to do whatever we want in this relationship is chaotic. But rather what we need to be able to do is understand that in this relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and indeed in our relationship with our children, there has to be a two-way street. But now, of course, we will see that HaKadosh Baruch Hu takes it further. HaKadosh Baruch Hu makes the incredible jump where we go in Mitzrayim from Memtes Sha'arei Tumah, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, I'm going to take you on an eagle's wing, right up to Sinai, right up to a point where the entire Klal Yisrael becomes Nevi'im, where the entire Klal Yisrael can hear from HaKadosh Baruch Hu directly, direct communication, where Klal Yisrael can experience a level that was never before and never since realized in this world, a level of prophecy where they literally reached a higher level than any Navi after them. And of course, we need to understand, how do we imitate that, and why indeed did the HaKadosh Baruch Hu do it in such a way that Klal Yisrael, in order to grow, had to go through this incredible level of clarity, this incredible level of reality, of understanding and seeing, literally seeing some type of understanding of HaKadosh Baruch Hu and hearing HaKadosh Baruch Hu. When we go back in the Torah for a moment, we see Rivka Imenu. The Torah tells us that when Rivka Imenu was pregnant with her twins, with Yaakov and Esav, whenever she passed by a Beis Avodah Zarah, she felt something weird, like the child wants to go to the Beis Avodah Zarah. When she passed by a yeshiva, a Beis Medrash, she felt like the child wants to go to the Beis Medrash. And Rivka Imenu was extremely bothered by this. And what's incredibly interesting is that Rivka Imenu doesn't seem to be bothered by the fact that her child seems to want to go to a Beis Avodah Zarah. What she's bothered by is that the child seems confused. The child does not have clarity. And if the child does not have clarity, Rivka Imenu runs to Beis Shem Ve'eva, and she says, I need to be mevakesh the Gedolei Adar and ask them, what is going on here? I see already, even before my child or children are born, they are lacking clarity. And I know, says Rivka Imenu, one of the mothers of Klal Yisrael, that without clarity we're not getting anywhere. And of course, just on a side note, I heard from my grandfather once, Rabbi Yochim Schlesinger, that he said, why indeed do we see many times where Chazal call Avraham, Yitzchok, and Yaakov, and the same with Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah, Bilhah, Zilpah, why we call them the Avos and the Emos? And he said, because if one reads the Torah and learns the Torah, he might come to a conclusion that these people, Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, they're completely distant from us. They're a different type of people. They're not relevant. Their stories are not relevant to us. Their ideas are not relevant. So he said that's why Chazal call them Avos v'Emos. They are our parents. Their stories are our stories. And we must imitate them, which of course is the theme of this series. But let's get back to this idea of clarity. Rivka Imenu is bothered not by the fact that a child seems to want to go to Avodah Zarah. She's bothered by the fact that there is a lack of clarity. And of course that's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu did with Klal Yisrael. As soon as they had a taste of limit setting, as soon as they went through Morah, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says there is no time. We must jump right ahead to clarity, to Matan Torah, to a point where HaKadosh Baruch Hu will give us a Torah, a guide that will include many, many, many details for the rest of our lives, for eternity. And of course there is more than that, because we see that Chazal say, in Mayim ela Torah. Torah is called Mayim. What's Mayim? Mayim is water. Water, kaviyachal, a human body has so much water in it that if a person would take out all the water, a person would not survive. And this is what the Torah is. If a person takes out all the Torah of life, a person could not survive, at least in a sense of that relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And of course, we see that Chazal tell us, the Sifri tells us that a father who does not teach his son Torah, ki'ilu koivroi. Rahman al-Itzlan, a father who does not teach his child Torah is as if he buries him. What does that even mean? Why would not teaching a child Torah be considered the death of the child? But of course, in our context, it is so obvious. You see, we see in Mitzrayim too, there were certain people who did not leave Mitzrayim. There were certain people, Chazal tell us, who died in Makas Choshech. Why? Why did they die? We know. We discussed this. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives for those who deserve and for those who don't deserve. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives unconditionally. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives unrestricted. Why were there some people who died in Mitzrayim and did not become part of this relationship? Chazal tell us those who died did not want to leave. They had no interest in a relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. They had no interest in his Dabkas Bashem. You see, it wasn't that they didn't deserve to leave. No one deserved to leave. It was the fact that they had no interest in having a relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And if someone has no interest in that relationship, they could stay in Mitzrayim. And it's the same with someone who does not teach, apparently, his child Torah. Says the Sifri Ilu Koivroi. And like we said, Eimayim Ela Torah. Because indeed, and of course this becomes obvious, the Torah is the toolbox of everything a person might need to cultivate their relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So if a person does not teach their child Torah, and says, you know what, my child, here, go on, live your life without Torah. In essence, he's telling his child, live your life without any tools that would cultivate your relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And if that's what their life looks like, ki'ilu koivroi, he took away the entire purpose of life. He took away the meaning of life. He took away the goal in life. So of course, without Torah, there is nothing. But of course, what we see here again, as we mentioned before, is that before a person can teach their child Torah, and the only way a person could teach their child Torah is through being an example. And that's again something we see HaKadosh Baruch Hu did for Klal Yisrael by sending them Moshe. We have to teach our children Torah, and without that, it's ki'ilu koivroi, Rahman al-Itzlan. But how do we teach them Torah? By being an example. We cannot teach our children a life of Torah if we don't live a life of Torah. And of course, that example has to be taught in a way of example. And what do I mean by that? We can never tell our children, I think that you should do this because I just feel that way. Or it would be beneficial for me or good for me. You see, being a selfish parent is someone who decides for themselves. But being a parent al pi Torah, being a partner in that relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, is someone who teaches their child Torah in the way that HaKadosh Baruch Hu taught us Torah. Which means what we teach our children is not, I think this. We teach our children, my child, there's a relationship that I have with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. There are certain things that could help you in that relationship. I want you to have that. Here it is. The Gemara in Sukkah tells us, what does a father teach his child when he starts speaking? He teaches him Torah Tzivalanu Moshe, and he teaches him Kriya Shema. Of course, we have to understand why when a child starts speaking, because indeed we know that the difference between a human and an animal is the ability to speak. In other words, when a child becomes wise enough to speak, what we teach our child is, you know what I am here for as a parent? Of course, I'm here to provide for you for your physical needs. But really, I'm here for you for all your needs, for the relationship that I'm going to build with you, so that you can build a relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And you know what? Everything that I'm going to give you is Torah Tzivalanu Moshe Moirasha. It already belongs to you because the Torah belongs to every Yid. All I'm going to do is to try and transfer the wisdom that I saw in the Torah and transfer it to you. And of course, what is in Krishma? Krishma is Yichud Hashem. We teach our children that there is HaKadosh Baruch Hu who they're going to create a relationship with. V'ahavta is Ahavas Hashem. We teach them the mutual ahava that there is between a father and a child, between HaKadosh Baruch Hu and Am Yisrael. We teach them that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us the tools to cultivate that relationship with Him. And of course in Vayomer, Yetzias Mitzrayim, we teach them that this all started with HaKadosh Baruch Hu planting the seeds of trust and respect in this relationship, and that HaKadosh Baruch Hu built this relationship as a father builds a relationship with his children. And of course, this is how the Torah tells us to parent our children, to show them all we're here to do is to transfer the wisdom that we saw in the Torah, so that they too can build a relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so that even when we are not around, they will still feel safe, they will still feel secure, because we help them build a relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. This series is produced by TorahWire.org, sponsored by thedonorsfund.org. For all your charitable giving, open an account today at thedonorsfund.org.